a trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
Good evening and welcome to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Niresh Eliathambi. My guest tonight is Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament, who is no stranger to our audiences. Good evening, Kesarralal.
Good evening, Niresh. Good evening.
Right. So, Kesarralal, yesterday the Minister Bimal Ratnayaka said in a speech that Provincial Council elections will be held within the first 6 months of next year. This is good news because this is the fourth election, fourth national election in Sri Lanka, and it's long overdue, of course. What's your take on this?
It's good. It's good because in any case, Provincial Council elections should have been held in the past as well. As to why the local authority elections and the Provincial Council elections are delayed, I don't know.
Well, there are political reasons. We all know that.
But it's good. Only thing is we must ensure that the Provincial Council don't get involved in the local authority framework as such. Because what happened, you've got to understand, for time immemorial, the institutions that were prevalent in this country is Parliament and the local authorities.
Yes, the Gam Sabha system.
Gam Sabha system.
Village.
And subsequently became local authorities. And they do quite a lot of work. Once the local Provincial Council came into the picture, what they did was gradually they took over the functions of the local authority, which was not good at all. And even the revenue that was flowing into the local authorities was channeled through the Provincial Council, which is very bad, because the Provincial Council can play around with the money. Those things have to be ironed out. Those things must be very clear, so that the local authority funds coming from various sectors come direct to the local authorities. That's okay, but it should never go through the channel of Provincial Councils.
There's a problem of discipline where the provincial councillors of the past, or some of them, have abused their authority and been pretty worthless where the public are concerned, which is why the public is not fussing about the provincial councils, except in some areas of the country, of course.
Maybe, yes.
They prefer to have them.
But in general, people have not missed the provincial councils. I must say that. People have not missed the provincial, that is very clear. But if the local authority elections are delayed, yes, they miss the local authority elections in a big way.
No, certainly. I mean, I missed the local authorities because there was nobody to call when you needed something done in your neighborhood. Some mundane thing, garbage collection or potholes on the road, or lights have burnt out on the street lights, and there's nobody to call. But now we have someone to call in the local authorities. But Kesarralal, don't you feel it is important to have the PC elections simply because it's a key element in the sovereignty of the people? Because our constitution says the people, the sovereignty lies in the people. But the people basically exercise that sovereignty by electing representatives, the president, Parliament, provincial councillors and local councillors. So a key element there has been missing for many years.
Although people have not missed the provincial councils, you are right, the key element has been missing. And I still feel that the provincial councils also, or the provincial councillors, once they get elected next year, we say, has to understand that right along what has been happening is the provincial councillor getting involved in other activities, especially the local authorities. They should stay away from local authorities, but assist the local authorities, strengthen the local authorities. That is their role. That is their role. That is what, if they can do that, then sky is the limit for them as well.
Right, and there are some key areas where the provincial councils are responsible. For example, in our road network, you have I think the A roads and B roads, which are under
part of the roads are managed by
under the main RDA, and then you have the provincial RDA, and then of course you have the local roads, your by-lanes, which are under the local authorities. So provincial councils do have to maintain and modernize a key element in the road network. Which
they have a better supervision as well. Because if it's the central RDA has to concentrate on the entire country, but the provincial council is to a particular province as well only, and they can muster their team to do a lot of work in that particular province, which is good.
Right, and also now within the provincial council, within each provincial council, Kesarralal, you do have provincial ministers appointed. You have a provincial minister of transport, provincial minister of education,
finance,
and even tourism, which is one of the key areas of development in this country. So don't you feel that if all of those work properly,
if they all click, Parliament, provincial council and local authorities click, we can definitely move forward. I think it will be a new culture as well for the provincial councils, because we will definitely see new people on those provincial councils, and that will be a good sign for the country.
Right, because we don't want all the old provincial councillors back again, do we? Because we are still asking for system change.
And they'll be up to nonsense as well.
Yes, the usual old nonsense which we are trying to rid the country off. And that's of course the system change that we desire, all of us, in order to take the country forward. How do you see the chances for the different political parties in the PC elections, if they are held, let's say, somewhere around May, June or so of next year?
Well, it's Naresh, the way things are going, I must say that people have implicit faith in the present president. I must say that. He is a very popular figure in today's context. And judging by, we say, next 7 to 8 months or so, I don't think that's going to change. So, provincial councils as well, the NPP will hose forth, I feel.
So, you feel that the popularity of the president will carry the NPP, or do you see that the government, that there is a certain level of confidence in the government as well?
Level of confidence in the government as well as the president, especially the president, we can pull them through. Don't ever think that the people are going to change that now. They realize that the going is good, and they will always, of course, any election after a lapse of 1.5 years, there is bound to be a small drop in the support, but they'll pull through.
Right, and we have 9 provinces. Traditionally, of course, the northern and eastern provinces have not usually gone to the Sinhala-dominated political parties because of the demographics of the northeast. What's your take on the other 7 provinces? Do you believe the NPP has a good chance of winning all 7, or will there be 1 or 2 which might go to the opposition?
I feel in the best interest of the country, it is far more better once the local authority, the majority is given to them, parliament is given to them. It's nothing but correct that the people decide to give the provincial councils also to them, because you're going to make a mess of the whole operation.
You fear it would be disruptive?
It will be disruptive. So it's far more better that the NPP runs the councils as well. And they give them time. Give them 1 term. And you can see as to what they do. If they are not good, you get your chance. You get your chance. There is no question about that.
Right. And what about the opposition parties? We see, of course, the main opposition party is the SJB.
SJB.
How do you see their support about 8 months or 10 months from now?
Well, they may retain the same strength as in the
local government
elections. I feel that they will retain the same strength, but that is not going to help because the councils will be taken over by the NPP, I feel, because people are still okay with them, still are okay. There are various questions asked, etc., as to what NPP is doing, but when it comes to the vote, they'll always think twice. They'll always they'll prefer to have the MPP. All three for the NPP is far more better. There is no argument against that. Once the local authorities have been given to MPP, Parliament is with the MPP, it is better that the Provincial Council is also given to them so that they can run it in a much more cohesive manner.
Now, what about the other political parties? We spoke of the NPP and the SJB. Where do you see the SLPP, which had a rise in popularity in the local authority elections? So, do you see that rising further or dropping back down?
Neresh, I have a different articulation for that. I feel that particular rise is not technically people supporting them, because they had 3,000 odd members of the local authority, and that once that force comes in back again for an election, there's always bound to be more votes coming into their kitty. That is what happened. I don't think the people went out of their way to support the SLPP. It's the number. But this election, this Provincial Council election, you'll be able to see the results properly.
So, you think that it's going to drop back down for the SLPP?
Yeah. Because you know why? It is not rocket science, you know. If you take the last local authority elections, the SLPP had around 3,500 local authority members. 90% of those local authority members would be back in the fray, would have been back in the fray for the last elections. So naturally, you know, so many members, 3,500 is not a small number. They are going to pull a lot of votes, and that is why the increase.
So you think it's the personal popularity, of those SLPP members. Right, interesting proposition there.
This is how you read things, you know, I mean, as to how it happened. I mean,
of course, you are vastly experienced in politics, although you have stepped away from politics, and you're one of the few politicians who did so in my book, which you did so very honorably, and said that it's time for the new generation.
Exactly. I mean, there is no way that I'm going to enter any activity with elections. Why? Because I feel my time is up, but I can advise anybody.
On the other hand, there are people 20 years older to you who are still struggling to hold on to some form of power. So what do you have to say to them?
Very unfortunate, I would say. Each politician has to understand that he must set down a line as to where, okay, this is up to this point I'm going, but beyond that I'm not going to cross that line.
Why is it that some politicians just cling on until basically...
It's the power that drives them, I feel. It's the power that drives them.
Okay.
In my case, no power drives me. For me, I mean, wherever I go, any organization, any council, we are recognized. Why? Because we have done a job. We don't need power. Rubbish. So I feel that most of these people have to change. And you must understand that you have to bring the younger sector in. You must bring youth into this system and train them. They are the people who are going to take the country forward, not us.
Is it also, in some cases, a guilty conscience, or rather the fact that they have been involved some of them have been involved in nefarious activities, and they want to keep all that covered up.
Yeah, that is one aspect which I feel is true. Why? Because when you're in the system, we say you can assume you have been a minister. You don't mind coming back as a member of parliament. Why? Because you're still in that
in
frame,
the system.
In the system. Therefore, the chance of you getting kicked out are very rare. You're getting hauled up before a court of law is rare. But you got to understand that is not going to work with this government. They will always bring people who have done wrong to book. They will prosecute them. There is no question about that.
Well, we do see an enormous number of present and former politicians who are in and out of courtrooms and the CID and the Bribery Commission. It's rather dizzying, in fact, to try to keep track of them. Correct. And some of them actually have multiple cases, so no sooner they get bail from a bribery offense than the CID takes them in for something else. So
so much activity. You must understand, everybody needs to understand that the things that are coming out in the present day context would never ever have come out if the result of the presidential and general elections are different. Never ever. They have to understand that.
So the system has changed.
The system has changed.
Right, and we need to
support and take them forward. Everybody has to understand.
That's up to the public, of course, up to the voters.
It's up to the public.
Right. Do they want it done or not?
Or not, yes. Very simple.
Right. Now, what about the other opposition parties? Let's talk about the UNP. Is it dead in the water? Is there any likelihood of a resurgence?
Well, the question is, Niresh, it's not correct for me to mention anything against the party, but we must understand United National Party has been a very, very strong party in the past.
Absolutely.
As to, I mean, who's responsible for its destruction? It's so sad. I mean, I want some of these good parties to retain in the political field because it's a good party. But as to whether the present people can resurrect it, I don't know. But it's a good party. I will always, SLP, UMP, they are good parties with a good background, good history. Good history. So if anybody can turn it around, that will be ideal. These are good parties, I must admit that.
Right, with a very long history.
Very long history.
Yes,
but they have been driven down to such a degree that they,
driven down, broken apart, a lot of issues.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, we need to take a short commercial break. I am in conversation with Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Compared to last 10 years.
That's not true.
It is.
That's absolutely not true.
Ask for statistics. If you want, I'll bring that then.
Please bring it.
Look at the passport. Look at the driving license. How long it takes.
So
not even a car today. If you look at the car, in which country a vehicle doesn't have number plate.
We need to have a proper budget planning where you actually get the approvals to all the projects before the budget is read in the parliament. And then once it is read, you can start on implementing it, right? Once you get the approval, you can implement it.
So as you know, 3.9, if you have inflation of 5%, that means you're basically having a growth of about 1%. Right, so you're looking at a period 2-3 years without much growth.
Face the Nation every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. on TV1.
පුතේ මට බයක් දැනෙනවා. වෙනදා දැනෙච්ච නැති විදිය බය.
හැබැයි මෙච්චර කාලයක් උන්ට ඕන විදියට නටන්න තියලා හිටියා. ඒක වැරදි රේ. උන්ට අතින් පස්සේ මේ මහ පොළොවේ ජීවත් වෙන්න අයිතියක් නැහැ. එකක් මතක තියාගනින්. මම රොකීගේ මල්ලි.
Rocky Chapter 2 අද රාත්‍රී 8ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්
අපි ඇත්තරම නපුරු පිටසක් කොලෙක් මේ ලෝකෙට ගෙන්නමු.
හවස මාමාටම ගෙන්නමුද?
දැන් ඉක්මනටම නපුරු පිටසක් කොල ජීවින්ව හොයන්න ඕනේ.
අනේ ඔයා යාට තේරුම් කරන්නකෝ.
හැමදාම හවස පහයිතියට නිකියෝ.
ගන්නවත මට පෙන්නනවා තමුන්ගේ හැඳුනුම්පත.
ඇයි අනේ සෙමි බොයි කිව්වම හැමෝම දන්නේ.
ඔයා හිතන්නේත් මං හිතපු දේවද?
මොනවාද නංගි හිතා ඉන්නේ හැමදාම පහයිතියට සිරස ටීවී බලන්න.
සෙමි බොයි
සතියේ දිනවල හවස 5:30ට සිරස ටීවී ඔස්සේ.
මං සෙට් කරපු දේ තමයි වෙන්නේ. ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් වෙනවා සිස්.
මං කියන්නේ අර කරන් මෙතනින් බැන්නට පස්සේ සෑහෙන කාලයකට එළියට එන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. බෝඩි මරියන්නේත් නැහැ.
තාත්තගේ ජීවිතේ නැති වුණේ මේක විසඳන්න ගිහින්. තාත්තා වැටුණු තැනින් මං නැගිටිනවා.
මට නම් හිතෙන්නෙම මේකට මොකක් හරි සිකියුරිටි සිස්ටම් එකක් ඇති කියලා බ්‍රෝ.
උනාට ඉතින් මං ගත්තා කියලා තේමිය දැනගත්තේ නෑනේ.
ඌ දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඔබ කොහොමද දන්නේ? කවුද දන්නේ? ඌ දැනගෙන දන්නේ නැහැ වගේ ඉන්නවද?
අද රාත්‍රී 9ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්
The annual Nallur Festival 2025. Join us at Shakti TV Nallur Live Studio from 19th to 21st August and tune into Shakti TV to witness the live telecast of the Sapparam on 20th August at 5:30 p.m. and the Thair on the 21st of September from 6:30 a.m. Shakti TV, power of the nation.
Welcome back to Face to Face. I am in conversation with Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekara, former member of Parliament. Now, Kesarralal, we were discussing the Provincial Council elections, which Minister Bimal Ratnayake now promises will be held in the first 6 months of next year, which is good news indeed. Now, what are the chances, Kesarralal, of the opposition parties forming an alliance? Because we have seen now 3 major elections where none of the opposition parties could make much headway. Some of them may be happy with their performance, but none of them came close to victory. During the last election, the local authority election, there were some discussions between the SJB and the UNP, but they didn't come to any conclusion, and then of course they ran separately. But we did see when it came to the CMC, the Colombo Municipal Council, that there were some last-ditch efforts to form alliances in order to try to keep the NPP from gaining control of it. What do you read into all this? Is there any likelihood of the opposition forming an alliance, and which parties might it be?
With regard to the CMC, Niresh, that alliance came after the elections. If that alliance was spoken about before the election, they would have lost by a great number, I feel. By a greater number. But you have to understand that no sooner you get into alliance, you have to sacrifice your policies. Now, if parties want to get into an alliance with the sole intention of defeating the NPP, I would tell them, you sacrifice your policies, the people are not going to follow you. People are not going to follow you. People will say, what the hell? We never voted for this particular party. We are not going, if they are in alliance, we are not going to vote. That I feel it could be disastrous for either party. I don't think that that's going to make any headway whatsoever. That's what I feel. Alliances per se are not going to work in that manner. Unless parties unite and become one party, that's a different issue. That's a different scenario. But you retain your party identity and have alliance, no, it's not going to work. Everybody can come out of those parties and then form one party. That's okay. That can work. that can work. But alliance, no. I don't think so.
There's also a difference in political philosophy, isn't there, between the SLPP on the one hand, and then you have the UNP and the SJB on the other. So it's very unlikely that they would form an alliance before an election. Don't you think?
No, of course the question is this: if they, I think recently also a particular ex-minister had discussions on those lines, where he had invited so many parties to come in for discussions to see, as to work out as to how we can form a broader alliance to fight future elections. As to whether that was successful or not, I don't know. As to who came for that meeting was not reported. But it did take place. As to whether it was successful, nobody knows. But I still feel we have to understand we can get into an alliance at the top, but the whole question is people down ground situation. Are they going to follow you? We say I'm from party X, and I joined hands with the Y, party Y, as an alliance. Will the people who support me as X will want to support Y? No, I don't think so.
And will they campaign together?
Yeah.
Because they've
Very
been
unlikely.
at each other's throats for so long.
Very unlikely.
Right.
Very unlikely.
And also, in the process of trying to form an alliance, there are so many demands by each party.
Yes.
Which
we have to give in, yeah.
Yes, they come up with scenarios. Okay, if we get so many votes, and the scenarios are endless, of course. But they try to say, okay,
and you have to satisfy
we need
everybody,
so many seats on the council. And then they all end up bickering over that.
There were ministry portfolios, etc., in the provincial council, etc. So many issues come into the picture. And by having those discussions, people at the ground situation or the local leaders might want to say, what is this? We are not going to work for a party of this nature if they are going to get into alliance with parties whom we have worked against right throughout our life. Those things can happen.
Interesting indeed. Now, coming to the SJB, the leader of the SJB was reported last week as saying that he would be the presidential candidate of the SJB for the next presidential election. This comes as a little bit of a surprise because the next presidential election is a long way off. 4 years. What do you make of that?
Well, the gap is too broad, it's over 4 years.
Exactly.
I think
that's a long time.
It's a very long time. And in political sense, 4-year period is a huge time frame. So many things can happen during that period. Therefore, it's far more better to wait for the last 2 years or so and then make those announcements. That would be very much more actively pursued if those things are made during the last maybe 18 months or so. That's okay, but a 4-year period term is too much. But parties always have the ability and the right to decide as to their nominees. You can't change those things. But I still feel it's
rather premature.
Rather premature and too early.
Right. Now, getting back to the PC elections, the North and the East, the Northern Province and the Eastern Province, how do you see the vote going in those? Now, especially in the North, where with the presidential election we saw, and also the parliamentary election, we did see a lot of support for the NPP. Do you see that translating into support for the NPP in a PC election, or would the voters revert back to voting for the predominantly Tamil parties?
It all depends on the discussions that the NPP will hold with their key party officials in those provinces. As far as the NPP is concerned, they will want to show some presence in those councils, not to disrupt the councils, but to promote those councils. And the people also might want to go with the MPP because the government is with the MPP and the provincial councils stand to gain now. We say when you have provincial council elections, most of the councils will want a party from the parliament to be the leader of that particular council. Why? Because they stand to gain. It's easy conducting affairs. So I feel that there is always a likelihood that NPP will show a lot of support. We get a lot of support from those provinces.
On the other hand, we see the many Tamil parties often coming together and forming alliances when it comes to elections. So it would be no surprise if they did so once again. And that is a very strong front, isn't it? It always has been.
Correct.
And it is more than capable of winning the Northern Provincial Council and perhaps the Eastern one as well.
That's true. The thing is this, Naresh, I think the people would prefer the presence of the NPP as well, because you know why? They feel that whatever said and done, since Parliament and the President is from the NPP, they stand a better chance as far as the provincial councils are concerned, the councils in their particular areas are concerned. This is how I feel, and the people.
But do you think that still holds true in the north and the east, given that it's been almost a year since the presidential election took place?
I still feel that the people, and mind you, in those areas, people will be very judicious in their voting. They will always they'll select the correct party, I feel. They want certain things happening because they will definitely understand that tying up with the present government is far more advisable and better advantageous to them. Those that comes into play. Whatever said and done comes into play. Because the president is from one party, the parliament is from that same party. Why not get the provincial council also on the same line?
Interesting indeed, but it may not be that simple.
No, I know. Nothing is simple.
Very convoluted.
Nothing is simple. But the Tamil parties also have to understand that they have to tie up with somebody to support their people. They need to tie up with somebody. That's a way forward for them. Whatever said and done, I feel that this Sri Lankan identity must be established all over this country. Not the Sinhala, not the Tamil, not the Muslim identity. If you can establish a Sri Lankan identity, that's the way forward for this country. I should not be looking at Tamils, Sinhala, Muslims. Of course, in my case, we went to a school where all three factors were there for us. Everybody is Sri Lankan. Even now.
But Kesarralal, in the north and east, and I think especially in the north perhaps, there are simmering issues which have not been resolved yet. These are very long-standing issues, which they are the causes of the war, and they have not been dealt with. It's been, goodness gracious, 16 years since the war ended. And these the realities were not changed enough. Land issues, issues of the military and so on, military control and so on, issues of language where still there are many government servants and especially police and army personnel who don't speak much Tamil. So there's all these simmering issues are still there, and of course it takes a long time to resolve them. But do you think that there would be less popularity for the ruling party because these issues have not been dealt with quickly?
Yeah, but the time frame is very short to deal with a problem of that magnitude. I still feel that after 2009, if the president at that time took it upon himself to finish up this issue at that time, it would have been far more better. But that did not, unfortunately, did not happen. And I still feel it's far more better for the people to go with MPP, because you stand a better chance. MPP view is totally different. MPP is not going to take the view of what the SLFP or the UMP did. I don't think so. They are totally different.
But do you think the NPP will stay the course? In the sense that, yes, it is a different style of party, a different dogma, doctrine. But there is always this fear that as time goes by, that even those politicians may become more like the politicians of old. Is that at all likely to happen?
The pressure, there will be pressure on the NPP against whatever they're trying to do, but they must do it. And I still feel that if there's any party which will forge ahead, that's the NPP. So it's far more better to have trust or place faith in that particular party, I feel, at this juncture. I think the Tamil parties also need to understand that they must have a constant dialogue with the NPP and show the people, look here, we have to work on those lines. That's very essential now, because this is an ideal time to settle all those old issues. You have a new party. You have a party which has not been in power for 60, 70 years. Might as well get something done out from them. Huh?
Now, if we go by the timeline given by Minister Bimal Ratnayaka, first 6 months of next year, we are still looking at perhaps 8 to 10 months from now. And many things could happen between now and then.
Possible.
What do you see happening between now and then? Let's take the economy. Let's start with the economy. What do you see happening with it?
Well, the thing is, you cannot have vast strides in the economic front, Niresh.
But there is a steady growth.
There is steady growth, but you can't have vast strides. Everybody needs to understand that. Everybody is saying, look here, we need to have vast strides. I don't think that is possible, because we have gone through hell in the past, in the recent past as well, on the economic front. Therefore, it will be slow progress. But slow and steady progress is also good. And mind you, there is confidence as far as the people, masses are concerned. Now, there is some degree confidence. One issue that they talk about is prices are too high, and they have to...
Cost of living
is too high. The prices are too high, and that has to be brought down. As to whether that can be done overnight, I don't think so. And whether you can keep on assisting people who are low down, I do not know to what degree they can go. Therefore, we also need to understand there is a limit that the government also can go. But they are trying their level best to settle all those issues. Let's hope that they proceed on those lines. But I feel that they are trying to. They have already introduced a new culture. It's far more better for us to grasp that culture and move forward, promote that culture. If you can promote the culture, that's so much better for this country, rather than going back to old systems. I say this: if the election results was different, there wouldn't have been any cultural change. There wouldn't have been anything. So therefore, in that context, I feel it is far more better. It was good for this country for that particular change that took place. But it's left for the NPP to move forward, and they also have to understand that there are so many things that they have to do. They cannot be strong on every aspect. They must listen to the average man. They must listen to so many issues that are being put forward to them, etc. And whenever there is possibility to change. You see, you have given a promise and you feel it's not possible to carry out their promise, of course change and tell the people, we are not doing it because of this reason. You can always change. Who says your promises cannot be changed? You can change. Because it all depends on the scenario, situation. Those things have to be understood by them. And therefore, they can come forward and tell the people. And when the president comes forward and tell the people will believe that. He can convince people. He can convince people. But as long people have faith in him, people feel that, even my friends say, look here, you can trust the man.
Now, Kesarralal, what about the system of justice? We see certain improvements happening, and we expect more courts opened, and basically some form of streamlining. We've seen it already with the Bribery Commission, which suddenly has come alive with a new set of leaders in the commission, and they are working very hard, and they are arresting a lot of people, and they seem very independent, in fact. Is this likely to result in more and more politicians who held office in the past being put behind bars, and what impact will that have on those parties and on their chances at the elections? Because you and I know, once a case is filed against you, especially a criminal case, that politician is going to spend much of his or her time fighting that case. You know, meeting with lawyers, appearing in court. There's so many things to be done, and it all takes an enormous amount of time, and you can't really be running around the country campaigning at that point.
Correct.
So now a lot of the stalwarts of many of the opposition parties. I wouldn't say many of them, but some of them would face this situation. So would that result in a significant weakening of those parties?
Of course, already parties have weakened, I feel, because it is clear in the election results. They have weakened, all right. But I still feel I have a different notion altogether on this whole exercise, Naresh, because the number of people who are going to be prosecuted are huge. I think if you need to go for an easier process and finish things off as quickly as possible. There are so many cases where you haul up people and remove their civic rights. That's an easy way out, so that they cannot come back to contest.
But then
elections.
that's not very democratic, is it?
No, do it in a legal manner. That is what Mrs. Bandaranayake did by the CJC, introduction of the CJC. But that's a democratic process. You know why? Except for people who have been involved in heinous crimes involving money, others create a procedure like the CJC and remove civic rights, so they cannot contest for a term of 10-15 years.
But you still have to give each of those individuals their day in court, don't you?
Yeah, but it's faster. It's very much faster. That's what Mrs. Bandaranayake did. And it all depends on the agencies. The agencies, Bribery Commission, etc. See, all those people have to be. I think they are working full time. But still, for all, don't forget one thing: when it goes before a court of law, it takes time. People want results quickly, and it's not going to happen in that manner. It takes time. There will be lawyers who are presenting their objections, etc., etc.
But
so it takes time.
The whole legal process, isn't it?
Correct. So it takes time.
Yes.
But the people would prefer faster results. So the easy way out, and I think all those people who are going to be prosecuted also we don't mind. Civic right removal is far more better than anything else. It's an easy process.
Rather than being sent to jail.
Easy process, I feel. I know this. The government in play will have to have discussions on those lines and see as to whether that is prudent or not. But my advice is that.
But don't you think if the ruling party goes for such a process, that it will be accused of basically fixing things politically.
Not fixing.
In the sense
not
that
fixing. They are not going to get involved in the process. They are creating like something like the CJC.
Yes, but the very creation of something
you
like
have to because whenever things come up, you have to create things. You have to create laws. Otherwise you can't run this country. You need whenever something. I mean, look at the amount of things that have happened, which are suffering. You listen to these exposés that are made in Parliament. Cope and Cope. Oh God, that's massive, unbelievable.
Well, it's very believable considering that the country was driven into bankruptcy, which is
so huge,
quite a ridiculous thing.
And just imagine what has taken place. And mind you, we have been blinded. No, we have been blinded. Everything that has happened, every action, unbelievable. And why is that? Because they wanted that system in place. The corrupt system they wanted to pursue and carry forward. That's all. Why do you think some of these people are in Parliament? To ensure they don't go behind bars. Hang on to Parliament. That's a very simple reason, no? Nothing else.
Well, that's politics in Sri Lanka for you, and I'm afraid, Kesarralal, that we are out of time. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
It's a pleasure, Nilesh.
And thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. As always, have a great evening.